Hello, this is Nancy with Yoga Journey 108, and welcome to the Tuesday of our week-long series for Yin Yoga. So Tuesday is associated with the god Tu, Tyr in Norse mythology, and if you are familiar with Latin languages, Mardi, it's associated with Mars. Okay, so the association of Mars with the chakra system that we've been working with in Yin is Manipura. That's our third chakra, our core, our fire source. And so today's Yin poses will focus on that area of the body, and our theme will also work on the symbolic energies of that chakra. Okay, to start, I have my diffuser over there that has an oil blend, a Mars or a Tuesday oil blend. So if you're interested in that recipe, it's I'll link in the description below. It's ginger and cinnamon and all those herbs that get you going. So let's go ahead and begin our Yin practice. We're going to begin over the bolster horizontally. We're going to sit with the bolster right up against the bum, so the sit bones are on the ground. And then we're going to lower ourselves over that bolster. Now this could also be a rolled up blanket. Rolled up blanket works too. And now first thing is, this is a little too much for the neck. Go ahead and grab your block and snuggle it under the back of the head here. You might have to move your messy bun out of the way. And let's make our choices with our legs. So we can either come knees up to the sky. We're going to extend long. We can cross at the ankles, or we can come to Baddha Konasana, butterfly legs, if that works out for you. And we can let's start by resting our hands right in that little curve under the arch of the ribs. That's where we locate our third chakra. They call it navel chakra or solar plexus chakra, but it's actually above the navel in those nice upper abs. And then let's let the breath play in this shape. Feel the rise and fall. So even though our hands are on our core, let's make sure we're getting some love, some prana down below. Pull the breath all the way over that little roller coaster hill into the hips and let it go. Our goal for these first couple of poses is to come into the space, come into the breath, come into the body. Essentially just coming in, spiraling in to our here and now. And the breath is one of the best ways to do that, because the breath is always present. And so if we can take these first few minutes to enjoy the presence of our breath in our bodies, we can start making the little necessary connections into our own being. As we cross the halfway mark, we might move our arms. Maybe cactus arms feels good. Maybe arms up overhead feel good. Sink the collarbones into the body. If you need to make an adjustment with the legs, please do so. And again, letting the breath be our guide. So if our breath is starting to get stuttery, starting to get strained, then we'll just back off, come into something that's not quite so intense. Nice big inhale. And sigh it out. We're going to roll onto our right side. So if you need some help bringing the knees on up, we'll bring them up. And we'll curl on over to the right side. Now we can either rest our head on our right arm, or we can get a block if that's not really working out for us. This left hand, if our head is on the ground and our arms are extended, we can kind of sandwich the ears. Another option, if you have a pillow for your head, you can just curl it around your back or just rest it on your hip. And just really connect with how the breath shifts in this particular pose as opposed to our first one. We want our right hip on the ground. We want to feel some sense of opening on the left side body as we inhale. And if we're not exactly finding it, we can kind of tip the shoulder forward. Roll the left shoulder back. Just test the breath in each place. And when you find a place that feels really nice and opening, go ahead and stick with it. Letting our breath, or our body, be a playground for the breath. Noticing what thoughts are trying to ripple into the limelight and just gently breathing them away. Our thoughts are very rarely focused on the now. And that's where we want our attention to be. Next exhale, we'll roll through center. Just enjoy. And we're going to set up on the other side. So again, left side ribs now are into the bolster. We stack the knees. We find a comfortable position for the head. Maybe if you had your head pillowed last time and it just doesn't feel so good. So we can bring the block in. We can bring it high. We can bring it low. We can find a place for the right arm along the hip, curled around behind, in front. If you don't have a block, a pillow would work just as nicely for the head. And start exploring with the breath. And again, moving the right shoulder forward to take a breath there. Moving the right shoulder gently back. And just kind of feel where the opening works for you. And settle into it. Inhale here. And sigh. And as we come up, let's engage the core so we can support our spine. Walk the hands in. And we're going to come on up to Sukhasana. Come up to our sitting pose. Get the bolster out of the way. Just take a moment. Give ourselves a little twist. And the other way. And come on back to Sukhasana. So Sukhasana can look like anything that'll allow us to sit up nice and straight. So heel in front of heel. Legs extended. Legs are extended. I guess hold on to the knees. You can come into Padmasana if you're feeling it. And we're going to start to think a little bit about our Manipura chakra. And so let's start to make some little ribcage rolls around the spine. So let's keep the head nice and neutral. We're trying to isolate the ribcage as it moves around and in. Okay, so that's the symbolic location of our Manipura chakra. But what is Manipura? It's the place where all the warrior energies, that aspect of our psyche that has the warrior archetype. And yes, we all have it. Sometimes we're not using it all the time, but it's there. Okay, let's zero into center and we'll do some seated cat-cow. So hold on to the front of the thighs, or the front of the knees, the front of the shins. And as we inhale, push the chest forward and up. Roll the shoulders away from the ears, pull the shoulder blades together, and exhale, rock back on the tailbone, pull the knees, pull the arms. Inhale, rise up. Lift the chin if it feels good. Exhale, curl in, draw the navel in and up very strongly. I know we don't do a lot of strong stuff in yin. But the energies of Manipura tend to be pretty martial. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to get yangy in our practice, but we do want to wake up that center. If we're feeling it in our bodies, we're more likely to have an understanding of it in our minds. And yeah, let's come back to center. And let's get into another yin pose. We're going to extend our left leg out to the side and keep the right one curled in. Okay, now this is not a hamstring stretch. We're going to be folding forward over the shin so that we're more looking for a release in our lower back, because the chakra is not just in the front of our body, it's kind of in a band all the way around to the back as well. So we're going to set up our stack in front of us, in front of our right foot. So maybe we have our bolster here and we're resting. If it's okay for the head to dangle, if that's not too uncomfortable, then we can let it dangle and let gravity start to work on it. Some of us might be a little bit lower. We got our block. Once you find a place to settle, breathe into it. Find the breath in that particular pose. Find the sensations of the particular pose. Scan through the body and find any place you might be flexing this foot over here because you're so used to doing that in a yang practice. So let's soften, soften, soften. Soften the thighs, soften the throat and the jaw. So the color for Manipura is yellow in our 7-color rainbow system. But the triangle that you usually find inside its lotus is usually red because it's associated with fire. And even though it's placed at the solar plexus, we might think, oh, it's sun then. No, it's not sun. The energies, the symbolic energies of our third chakra, it tend to be Mars. And so what are some of the things, what are some of the associations with the warrior archetype? Courage, yeah, confidence, discipline, willpower, valor, the ability to face our enemies, And of course, those enemies are most often internal enemies and not necessarily external ones. And one of the most useful ones might be the ability to face obstacles and overcome them. And we'll spend the rest of this fold just bringing attention to that band around that particular part of our body. And just by sinking our attention there, maybe we start to create warmth in that area. Feel how the breath massages the organs all around that space. So we come into our last minute, see if there's an invitation to move deeper into the pose. Or maybe you notice your breath is starting to get a little sticky. So you just kind of come up a little bit. Make the wise adjustments. On our next inhale, we're going to walk the hands in toward the hips. Let's keep the head released until we get everything stacked up. Let the head come up last. Let's lean back into our hands. We're going to switch our feet. So again, we're not coming into a hamstring stretch. Okay, we're coming straight over the ankle of the left foot now. So set yourself up, start walking yourself forward, no expectation. Each hip has different levels of openness. So if last time you were all the way flat on the ground and this time you're a little bit up, don't struggle to push yourself to the ground. There's no race to get there. Find where your breath settles and stay there. Fanning the fire through your core. Another symbol in the Manipura toolbox is the seed mantra, which is Ram. So if you tend to be a more oral type learner, then you can, with every inhale, you can imagine the sound of Ram reverberating through your body, originating in that space, under the arch of the ribs. And as you exhale, same thing. Ram reverberating through your entire being. Our brains, like I say I'll probably say it in every chakra video, our brains are really responsive to symbols. And so the more we focus on the particular symbol of courage and bravery and energy, the more we can wire our brains to find that in ourselves. Our mind has all kinds of tricks to sap our energy. And so any kind of mindfulness practice like this one, or meditation, or free writing, can help us come into our own, to have a little more control over our own the way we navigate the world. And we can't control what comes at us, but we can control how we meet it. And last minute in the pose. Maybe there's more space to release if that feels good. Check it out, take a breath. If it feels smooth, then stay. If not, come back. Come back to the place where you can settle. Our next inhale, we'll walk it back, keep the head relaxed. When everything gets stacked, we bring the head up last. Okay, we're gonna straighten out the legs, work our toes, bounce our knees, sway the toes from side to side. If you like to come into windshield wipers, feet about mat width apart, and drop them from side to side. You might start low, and then maybe we rock all the way on to from hip to hip. And we're gonna roll up onto hands and knees for our thread the needle. Now there's two options for this pose. Start in tabletop, and the hips stay above the knees. Okay? Reach up with the right hand, and we're gonna dive under the body and settle onto the right shoulder, keeping the hips above the knees. Now if the head does not get comfortably to the ground, please get a pillow or block to support it. And if this is just inaccessible altogether, we can separate the knees, set the sit bones down, and come into a tadpole twist. So same thing, we're resting on the shoulder head, we're resting on our head, and we're just settling the hips here. Well, from here, there's a couple options for the left hand. We can keep it here close to our face. We can reach it out straight ahead, or we can curl it across the back and hook onto the right thigh. It's all cosmetic. What we're really looking for is an opening in the right shoulder. So kind of lean yourself into that shoulder head until you feel that space being created under the shoulder blade. Ideally the inner shoulder blade. And then find a place for your hand. So let's make sure we get the sensation we're looking for, at least in the shoulder. And then relax into the pose, finding your breath in the shape. Noticing how it navigates the twist in the spine right across the space of our Manipura.
The last minute in the pose, I'd like you to start to think about something in your life that you want to change, or you feel like you need to change, or a change that is in your life and you can't avoid it. We all have one. And I want you to think about it. A lot of times when we have one of those things that we need to do and it hasn't happened yet, and we keep postponing it. It's like, oh, I don't want to think about that now. Oh, I'm too busy. I can't, I don't have the energy to handle that. Well, we have time. So let's bring it up. Let's bring it up in our minds. And as we do, notice the resistance to it. Notice where you feel it in your body. Is it coming into your cheeks? Pit of your stomach? Your little toe? Maybe you have a very empathic little toe. Just notice it. Step back and notice it. If the feelings get too intense, treat it like a pose that we're holding that feels slightly uncomfortable, and bring more focus into the breath. If we can breathe through an uncomfortable pose, we can breathe through an uncomfortable motion. Okay, let's wherever that left hand is, let's find it close to our face, so we can press in, lift the body, release the right arm, and maybe we lift it up to say hi out to the right, and come on back down. Take a moment, feel the release in the shoulder, the way the blood rushes in, and then just find out how your body wants to move, and honor that. And we're going to get ready for the other side. So this time we're going to reach up with our left arm, and we dive underneath. And again, make sure that the head is comfortable. Make sure that we're leaning into the left shoulder. So we start to feel that right through here. We feel the space on the inside of the shoulder blade. If it's uncomfortable for the head, we get a block or a pillow for the head. And then we figure out what we want to do with this right hand. Keep it close to the face. Stretch it out long. Curl it around. Again, a milder option would be to have the knees nice and wide, with sit bones on the heels. Still thread the shoulder under. Still release the head to the ground. Still lean into the shoulder when you get there. And then figure out what you want to do with the right shoulder, right hand. And keep the sit bone. If you're in this one, in our twisted tadpole, let's make sure our sit bones are close to the heels. If they're not, put a bolster between them so that you have a place to settle your hips. And let's come back. Once we get settled in our pose, let's come back to our issue, our change, and the feelings that arise when we think about that thing that we need to do, or the thing that's coming up. And let's identify some of the feelings we have connected with this thing that we haven't done, that we've postponed. Is it fear? Fear is a big one. Fear of failure, fear of messing up, fear of the unknown. Change brings something that's unknown. Another big one is shame, especially if you've postponed it. It's like, well, it's not done yet. So are you feeling a sense of guilt or shame that you haven't made the change yet? Okay, so if you've been carrying all these negative feelings and they've been keeping you from doing the thing that you know is needed, or the thing that is needed, then they're no longer useful to you. So with the fire of Manipura, we're going to burn those things up. So just with every breath, we fuel the fire. And every exhale, we let those, whatever attachments we have to those obstacles to change, we're going to let them go. We're going to burn them up. Inhale here. Let's get that right hand back into play, close to the face, so we can lift up and release. And maybe we'll do the counter stretch real quick. And come on back to hands and knees. Take a couple cat-cows if that feels good. Sway a bit if that feels nice. And once you feel nice and cleared out, we're going to come into one of the more yangy poses in yin, our dragon. Okay, so we're going to step the right foot forward, and let's make sure that the knee comes over the ankle and not past it. We're going to tuck the back toes, scoot the left knee back as far as we can. And let's just take a few let's bring the right hand to the inside of the right leg, and we're just going to kind of rock the knee out to the side, so rolling onto the outer blade of the foot and coming on in. If even this is too much, grab your blocks. So you get a little lift. Just a few little pulses out. And now with the knee winged out, we're going to come into our twisted dragon. So the left hand is our support over here. If we have the space, we can come all the way onto the elbow. We're going to start to turn the chest into our winged knee. So again, we're resting the weight on the outer part of the foot. We use the right hand to help turn the twist to turn the chest to the side, to the right. Okay. So again, we're here, up on our hand. We might have a block under that hand, or we might come all the way down to the elbow. Whichever one we're doing, we're trying to turn the middle of the chest toward our right leg, our right knee. This one, being more yangy than most, is a little bit shorter than the other poses, but it'll feel longer. And so this is where we burn. This is where we notice, we make the distinction between pain and discomfort. To the monkey mind, it's all the same. To the monkey mind, it's all negative and we have to get out of it right now. But for our sage mind, which has more physical intelligence, knows the difference between too much and too little. If we can breathe smoothly, it's not too much. If we're feeling something, it's not too little. If we're feeling that bit of discomfort that we can settle with. And the same as we burn away those things that make change seem like a negative, we maintain a smooth breath. We tell our systems that it's not a crisis, even though the monkey would have us treat it like a crisis. Change, the monkey does not like change. Monkey likes novelty, but it's not really interested in change. So we need to bring some fire to the game to burn through all the stuff that would stall us before we even begun our journey. That heaviness, that I have no energy to do that now. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's true, but sometimes just thinking about the thing that we intend to do, the change we need to make, makes us feel tired, more tired than we actually are. All right, let's release, come back to center, come on up, bring that foot in, send it back, take a moment, feel out what you want to do with that, sway. I always like to come into a down dog after a dragon. But if you're not interested in that, then just stay in your tabletop, swaying the hips, make some circles perhaps. And when you're ready, we'll get set up on the other side. Okay, so head on, I want to show you what this looks like head on. So if we have the ankles under the knee, and we just start to sway the weight to the outer blade, swing the knee back in close to the shoulder. Again, we can have blocks under our hands. Okay, now we're winged out. Now let's get that right hand underneath the shoulder so we have a good base of support here. Use the knee, use the thigh to start turning the chest toward the left. Keep the hips as low as you can. Breathe into your right toe, all the way down the body into the right toe. Again, another option is to come onto the elbows. Just making sure that we're more or less stacking the shoulders. Twisting enough to stack the shoulders, and the chest is moving toward the left, or facing toward the left. And fill the space with breath. So if you feel like you need to fire up a little bit to work through some of the anxiety, some of the reluctance, some of the fear, the shame, all those limiting thoughts, and let's bring our mantra in, our Ram. It even has a growl in it. Isn't that a great seed mantra? Ram. And you can do it inside your head with every inhale and exhale. Or if you're by yourself, you could rip them out on the exhale. Nice big inhale. And Ram. Let it go, let it go. In life, there are lots of limitations. So by taking charge of your brain, at least we can diminish some of the mental limitations, our belief system, our limiting beliefs. If we can navigate through our limiting beliefs, then we get a little bit more freedom. We'll always have limits, and it's okay. But let's get rid of the unnecessary ones. Okay, that's it. Let's bring the left hand down. Let's come on up if we're not already up. And slide that foot back. We're coming into our tabletop to release. Once we get here, just feel out how the body wants to work, what the body wants to do with all that. Maybe some rocking back and forth. Sway side to side. Take the downward dog, which is what I like to do. And we're gonna come onto our bums. So however you want to get there, we can come cross at the ankles, roll over them, or just swing your legs around. We're gonna come on down to our backs. All the way. Once you get down here again, take cues from your body. Maybe make some circles with the knees. And let's extend the legs nice and long. Let's give ourselves a nice big stretch. Hands in the little arch here. Let's take a couple breaths. Ram. Okay, now we're going to take our right foot and we're going to hop it off the right edge of the mat. And then we're going to take this left foot and cross the ankles. So cross over the top. Let's keep that left hip rooted. And we're going to wiggle, 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 wiggle our shoulders as far to the right as we can while keeping the left hip rooted. Now we can keep our hands on our Manipura, or we can reach up overhead, opposite palm to opposite elbow. We can snuggle our cheek into our right upper arm. Find what feels best with the hands, and then melt, 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 melt. Okay, what's the sensations we're looking for here? We're feeding the opening with our inhales over here on the left side. And we're enjoying the contraction on the right side. So now with the fires of our Manipura stoked, fueled by the emotions that we don't need attached to our impetus for change, our inspiration to change. Let's see if we can assign some enthusiasm to that change. We had all those negative reactions crowded around it. Now that it's clear, let's find why we want the change in the first place. All the positive reasons we want the change, even if it's to get it done. Feed that, use that. Okay, let's come on back to center. Let's release the feet. And we're going to do the same thing the other way. Let's hop the left foot right off the mat. Right foot comes up to the sky and we get it on over there. Okay, if by doing that we lift the right hip, then we can scoot it in just a little bit. Okay, but find that edge. Find the edge between having the feet out to the side and having the back of the right hip on the ground. And then we're going to snuggle, 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 swiggle, wiggle until our shoulders move to the left as well. So Bananasand. So let's take opposite elbow to opposite palm and breathe into our banana. Enjoying the opening on the right side, enjoying the contraction on the left side. Enjoying how the breath emphasizes both. So let's stoke the enthusiasm for the upcoming change. Wield your sword, your martial sword, to cut through the limits, the self-imposed limits that we put on ourselves. breath here. And we'll come on back to center, unravel. Take a moment. Maybe bring the feet out, mat width apart, press the knees together. Just kind of give yourself a little hug here. And we all had the foresight to bring our bolster in. We're going to bring that in. We want to get the whole of the hips, including the tailbone, onto the bolster or pillow or rolled up blanket. Rolled up blanket might be better than a pillow depending on how thick your pillow is. So want the whole sacrum, that whole triangle of bone at the back of the hips. Okay, if this feels, test it out. Make sure the tailbone is there. Yeah, press down on the tailbone, okay? All right, everything's supported. So this is our supported bridge. We can stay right here. Rest the hands, palms up over here. Okay, if it feels available, then we're gonna walk the feet forward and stretch them out long. Take a couple breaths here. Feel the passive opening through the hip flexors. Feel the traction. Need a little bit of traction in our mid-back. And then if it feels good, we can bring our arms up overhead, even reach, even so much as reaching long. Maybe aim the hands at the top corners of the mat. Aim the toes at the bottom corners of the mat. The heels are still about hip width apart, but the toes are splaying out. Breathe long. Breathe lightness through the surface of the body. And on the exhale, sink into every point of contact with gravity. So the bolster, sink heavy into the bolster, sink heavy into the heels, heavy into the shoulders, backs of the hands, the back of the head. And then now as we call up the needed change that we're facing without flinching, because we're warriors. See how it feels in the body. See how, when we think of this. Maybe some remnant anxiety, remnant reluctance. That's okay. We can face those. We have our sword. The juiciness of this pose depends on how much we can release ourselves into gravity. And if you found that little glimmer of enthusiasm, of eagerness, let's feed it. For the last minute in this pose, feed that eagerness with your breath. I'm sitting here inhaling the Tuesday diffuser blend going on. Oh, it's so good. It's just another layer to the Mars and fire and Manipura symbolism. Okay, brave warriors. We are going to move into a twist. We're going to keep the bolster where it is though. So let's walk the knees in, and we're going to roll onto our left side. Okay. So we're going to start with knees stacked. Then we're going to press the right foot forward. Okay, now this might be a little bit uncomfortable, so feel free to get something to support the foot. If the foot's floating, that's okay, as long as you can feel comfortable with it and relax into the pose. Otherwise, you can get your block or your bolster or another bolster if you have two. And then we'll straighten the lower leg. If that feels good, you can keep it soft through the knee. Okay, from here we're going to come into the twist. So we're going to, now that we've set our legs, we're going to roll back and try to get heavy through the right shoulder. If the shoulder doesn't come all the way to the ground, that's okay. Just let it get heavy. And the arms can come out to a T, if that feels good. And we settle here, breathing long. Like every twist, the juiciness depends on our breath. Feel free to soften the straightened leg too. Okay, soften the knee here if that feels better. Coming to the halfway point of the pose, maybe we can turn our gaze a little more toward the right. Again, we're not holding on to anything. Everything is released into gravity. We've set ourselves up so that breath and gravity is all we need for this pose. Let's come on back over with the shoulder. Let's bring our knees back together. Let's roll ourselves back through center. Take a moment here. And we're gonna roll on over to our right side. So our outer right hip is gonna be on the bolster. Start with knees stacked, shoulders stacked. And we're gonna kick out with the right leg. Maybe it's straight, maybe it's bent. We're gonna put a block or rolled up blanket over it if that feels good. We're gonna start to straighten the right leg. If that doesn't feel good, you can bend that one as well. Once we got our legs set up the way we like them, then we're gonna start to roll the left shoulder back down toward the ground. Now maybe last time your shoulder got there easily. This time it's not so easy. That's okay. Just get heavy. Just get heavy through that shoulder. Release yourself to gravity. And let your breath vivify the twist. Inhale here. And we'll start to come out, roll the back over to the right side, bring the leg in, engage your core to support yourself as you come on up. We're going to push the bolster out of the way. And we're going to come on back down to our back. Feel out what your body wants to do. I'm going to walk my feet out, lean my knees together, press the knees together, give myself a little hug. And then I'll probably take a few windshield wipers, supine, and then get ready for Shavasana. I'm going to be doing a short Shavasana in the interest of time, but feel free to push pause so that you can hang out in your Shavasana 5 to 10 minutes. It's always good to do about 5% of your yin practice as Shavasana, since a lot of our, a little bit shorter than a Hatha practice, because most of our poses are Shavasana-like, settling into ourselves, integrating our sensations and our journeys. So once you get down here, maybe you stick a bolster under your knees. That's nice to do. Let the toes splay out. Snuggle the shoulder blades under the chest. Tuck the chin. With a few big clearing breaths, just kind of let the sound of Ram echo through your body. through your being, centered right around here, right around the arch of, under the arch of the ribs. And then let your breath go and be soft. Settle in to the space, settle into your being. When you're ready to come out of Shavasana, just start to deepen the breath first. And start to make movements through the fingers and the toes. Sway the head from side to side. Give yourself a stretch. Walk the feet in. Curl on to the right side for a few breaths. And then as you're ready, coming up to sitting, find your Sukhasana, your current state of Sukhasana. And once you do, bring the palms to heart center and settle the thumbs there. Thank you so much for joining me on that little Tuesday journey. If you want a little more vigorous practice for Tuesday, you can check out my Vinyasa, my Tuesday Vinyasa class. It also touches upon the Manipura themes and Tuesday strengthening. If you're interested in the diffuser blend that I have going now, that's kind of fueling some of my fires, I'll link the recipe link down below. And if you want more videos like this, then please subscribe, because we're doing the whole week, two different, the yin week as well as the vinyasa week. I may in the future do a hatha week. Those will be down in the description below. And if you like this video, please hit like. And if you have any questions or comments, please link them. Please enter them in the comment section below. I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday. Namaste.